Oh, we're doing something new today, y'all. Since I started the 13th one, so 13th was supposed to symbolize like a break of rationality, an introduction to an irrational movement pattern, because irrational movement patterns in science is where innovation or a new movement pattern breaks through. So we are gonna do this because I realized on one of my other videos, the romance video, my friend's romance, it's so good, y'all. And I keep telling her, I said, I don't watch like romance things or on TV or Netflix or read smut. I learned that word recently too, smut. Because when you tell me about your romance, it fills all of those things. And so I'm gonna share it with everyone because what I perceive compared to what was written. Because when you read it on the surface, it's boring, y'all. She can't even perceive it, which is why she always keeps going to me. So I made a slideshow. So we're gonna go over the slideshow. I'm aware there's a glare, but you know what, y'all? At least you can read along. So I'm gonna face this way so it maybe makes it a little easier. And look, I got my yellow, I got this for her to celebrate. That's why I got passion fruit. Passion fruit in yellow, because yellow's loud. It's exciting, thrilling, right? Because when you see yellow first, when spring comes around after winter has been around, and it's all depressing and sad and dark and gloomy and cold, yellow is like, hey y'all, spring is here. Let's get those bikinis out. Let's get ready to partay. It's about to get hot. It's about to get sexy. It's about to get steamy. Yum, yum. Down by the lake or whatever, you know? So we're gonna go into that. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I changed, wait, I already told up. Okay, so this is the text that I was talking about in that one video. This is the original text that she was wanting me to decipher of her love interest in her life. And again, every person has these beautiful romances in their lives. And so this was the surface level text that she received back. And she was like, help me decipher it. So this is what he wrote. Hey, yeah, it's a little weird lately at work. Could mean changes for me, but everything is so uncertain. Not gonna lie, it's been a little stressful, but thinks are well. Definitely gonna have to save you or see you for that massage soon after this last week. And these little emojis. I'm good for now though, and thanks for checking in. Because she recognized this person works her love interest. Romeo and Juliet, right? Right now, I'm vibing for him. Oh, wait, no, Romeo and Juliet end in tragedy. So do Bonnie and Clyde. Okay. We're going to go for Disney Princess because all those stories end in whimsical wonder. I like the story of Romeo and Juliet, except, yeah, it does turn tragic at the end. So, oh, what's a favorite? This is, I don't know the names of the princes. Okay, well, this is Snow White, and this is whoever Snow White's Prince Charming is. Anywho, this is the message that she wanted me to help her understand, because she reached out to him. I talked about it in my last video. This is the message that she wanted to help be understood. And so I played back with her. Right, because she understands my humor. Not many people can understand my humor and put up with it. So, but she understands it. So that's why I included this, because she eye rolled me. And then I said, LOL, why are you eye rolling? Why are you rolling your eyes? That is an extraordinary response, bozo. Because she was like, ugh, this is what he sent me back after I spent all this effort and time into sending him a text. And so she rolled her eyes thinking that he like dissed her, like wasn't interested. And I said, what do you mean? That's extraordinary. He gave you a huge invite. What do you mean you can't perceive that? And that's why I said, like, the door is wide open. Bummer you can't perceive it, but he gave you quite the opportunity and invitation. Because again, on the surface level, no one can perceive that. And I guarantee you she couldn't. That's why she gave me the eye roll back. And I said, oh, whale, because that's been my thing lately online. Oh, whale. And she said, I can. I'm responding. Because she was like, no, I can perceive it. What do you mean? And I'm responding. And I said, oh God, I can't wait to read it. Because I'm going to guess you gonna botch it. Based on how it's going. Because to be quite honest, this is the first time they've talked or communicated in like a week. Or he's communicated with her. Or I don't know, something like that. right? She's on edge. It's been a decent amount of time since she's corresponded with him. And she says, thanks, help. And I could have called her out and been like, I'm responding. Okay, well, if you understand, then why are you asking for help? Right? If you understand this huge open door invitation that he just gave you, why are you not responding so? And then I was out on a walk with Yeti at the time, so I just said, thanks, thanks, I'm almost done walking Yeti, and I want to make popcorn when I get home, because I was joking with her, because it's so entertaining. So then she said this, a smidgen of help would be nice here. I am trying. And then I filled in from the last message that she was saying, and he said, trying not to botch it. And I giggled, because again, I see past the surface layer. I perceive the subconscious layer. So this is what I wrote her back over here. Hopefully y'all can see this. I don't know. This is probably better than me reading my phone, hopefully. You do recognize that the root of the word am is love. So I read that as I love trying, right? I love trying. That's what this message translated to. And I read the next text as trying a ton to botch it. Since in reverse, it spells, since not in reverse spells ton. Which, yes, I agree. You are trying to botch it. And then coincidentally, she accidentally calls him. And so that's what she's talking about here, being like, oh my gosh, I accidentally called him and I hung up when I was trying to text him back. It clicked the wrong button. And I was like, exactly, yes, I'm aware. You are 100% trying to botch it a ton. And that's why I joked back with her, because it was just too coincidental to not play on that vibe, right? So I said, self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, you're the one that said it. You're trying a ton to botch it. And I said, laughy faces, a bunch of popcorn. Okay, but we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Is this the message? Okay. This message here that he sent, this is what I wrote her back. I had to print this out so I could read it to myself, so I can, have everyone can see this. This is what I wrote her back of what he was conveying. The first sentence is him acknowledging you're perceiving backroom conversations that the public at large is unaware of. That's him basically being like, yeah, people, there's rumor mills, talking, things like that. She's basically cluing into him being like, hey, this rumor mill perhaps is starting to circulate because I'm aware of the position you're in, and I can perceive, it's easily perceivable how a rumor mill or something about another human being gets started, right? Everyone's heard of the gossip mill, things like that. So the first sentence is him acknowledging that she is perceiving backroom conversations that the public at large is unaware of. Because a lot of people get lost in the surface layer of picking sides, being like, that person did this, that person did that. She's cutting through that noise and being like, hey, I see what you're dealing with right now, beyond everything that everyone else is talking about, potentially talking about. The second sentence is him basically saying, you understand what is freaking him out lately, but he doesn't want to sound too desperate or pussy to express it beyond nuanced subtlety. But he gives you another clue by saying, not gonna lie. That is man code, being like, this is me being an open book, asking you to comfort me because you get me without me having to use a lot of words. Then he says it's been a little stressful, but thinks are well. The utilization of the word thinks is a grammar error that is obvious and stands out. Anyone can perceive that in the message. Highlighting a moment where a cognitive speed bump occurred and he got excited, he has a chance to be understood and seen. And then he tries to make a joke to keep it at the surface layer, because what's more surface than physical touch, right? Because he kind of exposed himself and like, oh shoot, you can perceive what is causing me fear and anxiety and keeping me up at night and having me invoke to a state of stress. I don't want to sound too thirsty for you to understand me and talk about this. So I'm going to go back up to the surface layer and talk about how I'm definitely going to need a massage in the future, because she's in PT school right now and going through the didactic portion. And so that's what the joke was playing on. Again, right? He went real vulnerable. He felt seen, and then he didn't want to felt too seen or too open. So he went back to the surface layer. Could everyone perceive that? And then he ends up trying to draw it back to the depths and main point, which is why he ends with something trying to guide you back to having a deep conversation about his current situation. Which is why, again, he ends it on, I'm good for now, though, and thank you for checking in. Can we perceive how that's a beautiful, extraordinary layer there? And so this is what I sent back. I sent back a mic and a drop. And then she wrote back, well, my response just got deep, quick, because I gave her an insight into what his mind, what he was actually conveying as far as his words, because she took it as, oh, he doesn't care about me or whatnot. So what is this? Oh, yeah. And then this is me bantering back and forth with her. But this is what she wrote back. I imagine a little weird quotation marks. I don't like quotation marks, y'all. Quotation marks make someone feel as if they're on the spot, being like, ha, I interpret it this way, therefore I'm quoting you, as in you're stuck, you're caught. You have to explain yourself based on this. No, y'all, don't use quotation marks. Quotation marks make someone feel can perhaps make someone feel more timid and shameful and embarrassed, especially how humanity utilizes it, how I've perceived it, right? She was trying to say, hey, like, I perceive your words and that's why I'm trying to quote it, but it doesn't require quotation marks. His subconscious, he's aware that he spoke those words. You don't need to add quotation marks, okay? It's a diss on your own logic if you utilize quotation marks to quote back to someone what they had originally said, right? Sometimes, at least. Anyways, I imagine a little weird is probably downplaying it some. That's her demonstrating, hey, I see the language you're utilizing, and I recognize that you're not fully expressing how much this is causing you turmoil, this situation. And I get it, because it's easy from the outside, right? Because this man's worried basically about getting a job promotion. He's freaking out about getting a job promotion that it seems like his behavior and actions seem like he doesn't want it. And she's recognizing that, being like, hey, what's giving you this? Everyone gets scared when they're about to get a promotion, right? Potentially, right? If you're up for a job promotion or whatnot, it makes someone nervous. And so she's basically addressing to him, hey, I understand where you're coming from, because most people would be like, what do you mean you're scared? Dude, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You're being selfish.